Hello, this is MikeDroTV. We're doing a pinpoint pitching tutorial. I did a hitting tips video. I'm okay at hitting, and I can analyze hitting, but I'm much better at pitching than I am at hitting. So I feel I'm more useful here, and I can get you a little further. Realistically, there's two things to worry about with pinpoint. One of them is the actual motion of the pitch you selected, and then the motion of the pitcher you are using. Both of those are critical to getting good location every time you throw the ball. I recommend going into custom practice either by editing the roster to what your Diamond Dynasty team looks like, or just grab a team that has a bunch of pitchers that you're working on. I think I bought Chris Sale off the marketplace, so I'm gonna go with the Red Sox. I'm a Yankee fan. This makes me uncomfortable. Here we are, Chris Sale on the mound. Pitchers have between 3 and 5 pitches. They'll display them on the right-hand side over there. It'll show the velocity range that they tend to go to. So, 4-seam slider, circle change, sinker. Let's just pick fastball, 4-seam fastball. Now, this is important, especially if you don't know what's going on with pinpoint, if you haven't used pinpoint before. It is telling you how to make the motion and how fast to make the motion. It'll tell you when to go down, when to go up, and then when to hammer it back down, which is going to be when the pitcher is completing the follow-through. Now, I have control freaks, which tend to help me out. These are kind of worn down, but there's a whole bunch of different ones you can get on controlfreak.com. You can get them off Amazon. The little bit of sensitivity can go a long way. So if you're throwing it right down the middle, then that's what it's going to look like. The motion will always be the same, but where you hammer down is going to be different, all right? Does that make sense? So here, follow the motion at the same speed. 94%, okay. And then as that second big circle is enclosing on the smaller one, that's when the pitcher's about to let go of the ball. That's when you want to hammer the stick back down from wherever you are to complete your pitch. So now let's move the fastball to the edge of the zone, up and away on a righty. See how this is moving again? 94, okay. We missed a little bit. It'll tell you how you missed, if you were late, if you were early, if you were off on the hammer where you were trying to put it. So it'll constantly critique what you're doing wrong and help you get right. It's important to look at the feedback when you're doing this. Try fastball again. Let's get it right. 100%. We missed a little bit. You don't want to leave that down the middle. I want to keep throwing every pitch until I get it perfect. See, much better. It's important to get perfect release. Now, wherever I throw the ball with the fastball doesn't really tend to increase. So the circle surrounding the baseball is called the PAR. That's basically the range of where the ball goes if you get perfect release. If you don't get perfect release, sometimes there's no telling where the ball goes. If you're late, if you're early, it goes high, it goes low, it goes side to side. You want to get perfect to make it inside that range. That's based on control too. So if you have a wild pitcher, then you really, really, really need to get those throws perfect so you have a little less RNG going that way. Input matters with pinpoint. 100%. Okay, see? Just outside, but it was inside that range that we had picked. So if you need to, you can move around the zone a little bit. Just ultimately, I don't use Chris Sale a lot. I don't think I even used him last year, so I need to get this timing down on his motion. As you can see, when I'm actually picking the motion of the pitch, I'm getting over 90% every time, which is good, which is cool, but it's more important to get the actual follow-through correct, and I got to hammer it down better. I'm telling you, if you look at that circle, when it closes in on the small one, that's when you want to get it. Green is okay, but you really, really want blue, which is when it tells you that it's been a perfect release. See, too early, and then the ball starts to elevate. You don't want to do that. We're also doing this on legend pitching, so it's going to be a little more tight. There we go, good release. Now, another thing is there's difficulties to pitching just like there is to hitting. The margin of error is going to be much less on a higher difficulty, so it's important to try it on legend versus all-star and stuff like that, because ultimately when you go into a game, you know you have a little less room to work with. It'll make you focus a little harder. See, we're getting it somewhat in the neighborhood of where I want to throw it, but I'm just not comfortable until I get perfects. I went back to beginner and there's no PAR. See, it says 0.03 seconds early, but you get a perfect release. Now let's go back to legend. Now you see the PAR is bigger. I was 0.02 seconds late, and I only got a green throw, so there's small margin of error, It'll push you to be better, I think. There we go. Perfect release. We got a couple of perfects with the fastball now. There we go. Back-to-back perfects. Let's move on to the next pitch. Slider. Slider has a different motion, but ultimately you still have to hammer down at the same time in the pitcher's follow-through. So, once again, there's a couple of things you got to work with each pitcher. I feel pretty good with the slider timing, so let's go. Yeah, see? Look at that. Perfect. And a perfect release. Okay, can we go back-to-back on that? Not going to lie, when the tech test came out for 21, and that was the first time they were showing us what pinpoint pitching was, I went in and practiced a lot because I knew that it was going to be a very important mechanic in MLB to show 21. Okay, now we're getting his motion down. So we did, what, 3-4 pitches in a row? Let's work on the circle change now. Circle change is a little more intricate. You have to go up, then all the way around, then hammer back down. And now you can see the PAR, his changeup doesn't have great control, and off speed and sinkers. Watch what happens when I drift the ball up in the zone. See how the range, that shadow is getting bigger? So you can't really spam off-speed stuff, and they're trying to negate sinkers up in the zone, which ultimately is a good idea. So let's go low. Circle change tends to be a pretty slow follow-through motion, but we got to get that hammer time down. So close. I'm not leaving until I get this pitch. There we go. There we go. But once again, that's a big range, so it could float a little bit even if you get it perfect. That's why the perfect release is important. Now watch sinker. See, he doesn't have a lot of control on this like he does his fastball. Watch what happens when you try to elevate. Now, why would you do that? Last year, the sinker had the same range as a regular fastball on that background shadow. So we're going to keep it low. Here's the sinker motion. You go down and around. I love the sinker motion. Okay, good. We got his timing down on that. We got his timing down on that. We're going to choose a couple of different pitchers, just so I can show you the different kind of motions and that I can get those down as well. I just wanted to do a slider again. That's so smooth. That's a dot, by the way. Let's use Evolve. He's got a whole bunch of different pitches. And as you can see, that circle when you need to hammer the ball down when he's letting go is going to be a different timing than Chris Sale. Every pitcher has a different one. So now it's going to take me a second to get that one down. Perfect. Let's do curveball. It's really important to work on this stuff when it comes to the off-speed, because off-speed almost never has as high of a control as your fastball does with these pitchers. So it's very, very important to work on that. Here we go. Back-to-back perfect curveballs. See how that's hanging in the zone even though we got a perfect release? It's because his control on the curveball is relatively low. So it can still end up right there realistically because that's still part of where that shadow is. You really, really can't afford to be hanging them even further in the zone with a regular release. Slider we've already done. Let's do cutter. I'll show splitter next. That's a tricky one. Cutter, I love the motion of that. It's just to the side and then up. Feels good. The good news is you don't really use most pitchers like this that have bad control as the game goes on. And once we get those high-powered, juicy cards, then the control gets really good on most of these. Let's work on backdoor cutters. That's one of my favorite pitches. You get like a 3-2 count. You're throwing a lot of low and away, up and in. You throw a backdoor cutter with some velo at like 95, like Nate here, it could get you out of trouble. Splitter is very weird. Look at it carefully. Look at it carefully. Once again, you have to move at the same speed it's showing you in the graphic. That's very critical to getting the timing down. Oh, man. I am the split god. No one throws splitters like I do, bro. Nobody. Again? See, Ohtani was a big deal last year to use in ranked seasons, his live series card, let alone this year when he's the cover boy, so it's really important for me to get that splitter right. There we go. Perfect. Let's do some tunneling here. So, tunneling. I don't have a baseball to show me here. But it's ultimately that you want the ball to look like the same thing until it goes a different way. So we're going to throw two different pitches where the tunneling, it'll look like it's the same thing coming out of the same place, going towards the same place, but they don't. He didn't bite. That was kind of high. We'll elevate the slider a tiny bit to match the sinker. There we go. That's how you want to tunnel. Or maybe we'll go up and away fastball. And then we'll tunnel with a low and away changeup. Perfect release, but he just happened to take. See if I can tunnel that with a fastball low and away. There you go. Alright, see, weak contact. That's a ground out the first if they had any fielders. Perfect, okay. So, we're going to tunnel that with the sinker going out. Something like that. Alright, so we're tunneling it correctly. We just need him to swing the bat. He ain't swinging much on Legend. Alright, let's work on some lefty tunnels here. If he's looking for the same pitch to lay off of, let's fool him with a sinker. Go from low sinker to high fastball. I'm telling you, practice is always the key to pitching, hitting, whatever. Just, it's really about getting the motion down. You need to get the motion of the pitch down, then you need to get the timing of the release down. Those two things matter more than anything else. After that, it's just rinse and repeat. I promise you'll get better. Put the difficulty up because ultimately you don't have to worry about seeing the fastball come in harder. The pitches aren't breaking any sharper. It's just having a slimmer margin of error when you're making a pitch. So if you work on perfecting it on the highest threshold, it'll be easier to get rewarded for a perfect input on the lower levels. Also, Red Sox stink. Go Yankees. I feel kind of dirty using them for that tutorial video. And once again, when you're practicing, use pitchers that you're not comfortable with or that you're trying to get comfortable with because that's what you want to translate to in the game because you need to get that hammer down time. Very, very, very important stuff. I do also apologize for being awkward in these tutorial videos. I'm not a big speaker with stuff like this. I'm still getting used to the content creation game. It's been years, but I'm still getting used to YouTube and trying not to be cringe. I don't know. But if the video helps you at all, leave a thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. And stay tuned for no money spent gameplay. Till next time, peace out. Song is copyrighted, but thanks for watching.